We've seen 3 best of 1s today at the FACEIT CIS Minor Day 2, with Team Spirit leading the pack, closely followed by Forza. Up next, it's Avangar versus Monolith in our first Group B best of 3. And it's do or die, because the team that loses goes out of the minor and will also completely lose the hope of competing in the grand FACEIT Major in September at the Wembley SSC Arena. My name is Parla, and I am your desk host for this minor, and I am still currently joined by JB. James Bardolph. Pimp has, in fact, left the building, flown to Marbella.
I accidentally ruined his exit because I thought he was still here, but he's not here. So I was just like, no, you're still here, but you're not. So never mind, he's gone out. But
hopefully we will be able to say a proper goodbye to him later. But nonetheless, we are still joined by fantastic company. We've got Matthew Maniac back in the mix, and we must welcome him in the only way that is right and proper.
Okay, what is happening now?
Ready?
I am.
Ooh. I was really worried that was going to face crack
That'd be bad, yeah. I'm going to keep that for a moment.
Okay, everybody at home, as always, let me remind you about what we have going on social media. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever else you can find us. We've got a bunch of awesome extra content. If you'd like to get involved in it or any conversations happening, use the hashtag FACEITMinor. Also, we are live on multiple different platforms, but be sure to check us out on gaming.youtube.com and link your FACEIT account up, because you can win FACEIT points and then redeem those for prizes on the website.
Yes. That's exactly what you can do.
Yes.
All kinds of prizes.
Good stuff.
Keyboards, as well as skins. Other things, all kinds of things in a FACEIT store, not just in game, but out of game as well. Maybe on your table at home. Should you be so lucky.
Yes, let's get our bracket up on screen so you guys at home can see what you can expect from the rest of our day, and also see what's happened over the course of the day so far. Forza, good start. Team Spirit, good start. Team Spirit then over Forza. Avangar and Monolith, the losers from those first 2 matches, playing now in a best of 3 to then go on and play Forza, waiting in the wings in our final match of the day.
Second final match, isn't it?
No, that will be the final match of the day.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Forgive me for my insolence. I
James,
sincerely
you're
apologize.
always forgiven. You're always on point. You always do the ting.
I'm very sorry. I try and do the ting.
Avangar now have to do the ting, and if you don't know what that means in London slang, they need to pull out some top-level moves, because, again, yeah, if they lose this, they are out. And in that first best of 1 of the day that we saw them play against Forza, they had a loss, which was, from our perspective on the desk, at least from mine, James, and Pimp's perspective, a bit of a surprise, kind of echoing what happened with Prosto yesterday when they started off against Blink, which they then went on, then went on to beat at the end of the day in a best of 3. So if Avangar are to follow the same sort of pattern, maybe they can bounce back here, Matthew.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's well thought of you to think of Prosto and what happened yesterday. I think we might be in a similar scenario here. This is also the beauty of this format of the tournament, is that you somehow get one joker. Like, you can fail. You can start the tournament in a bad way, kind of step up, play a little better, and still make it to the playoff. So maybe for Avangar, that was kind of the wake-up call they needed to start playing like they used to and like people would expect them to play to.
Yeah, this is a error correction opportunity for them, and I think that they should be good for this one. Best of 1 upsets are happening every single day, it seems, but Avangar now, they've had that shock, they had the early start, and that was a wake-up call for them, figuratively, maybe literally as well. So I do expect a better performance from Avangar in this best of 3 series.
Yeah, who knows? They maybe went off and had a gamer nap, as many of us often do, recouped themselves and had a team talk to get the juices flowing once more. Just to remind you guys at home, their start versus Forza was pretty poor. They got that first round, then they got ecoed, but they did end up getting some gun rounds after. So their T side was still, I mean, it had some positive elements to it, but then on the CT side of the map, it all just crumbled, right, James?
Yes, that sounds about right. It was a messy best of one as far as they were concerned. They were pretty much there for one half and just went missing for the other. They can't afford to do that now. I think they're up against a weaker opponent.
Exactly.
I think Monolith are an underdog and a very small dog, like a Chihuahua.
Yeah, exactly. And on this other hand, talking about Monolith, if we look at their first match of the day, 16-2, and they had an atrocious CT side, only scoring 2 rounds. And this wasn't an Inferno, this wasn't a Nuke, or even an Overpass, a heavily CT-sided favoured map. It was Dust 2. And so to have that go wrong, it doesn't spell great for them going into this best of 3.
No, absolutely. I think they themselves must somehow know that Avangar is going to be a big dog for them in the best of 3, and judging by how this tournament started for them, maybe this is more about getting some experience if they are looking to play long-term together. But obviously their chances are very slim. I was actually at the gym. I was having a good time. I thought, okay, I'm well aware for the timing. I'm good. And then I saw what happened to Monolith Spirit, and I thought maybe I should run now to the studio. This is time to go now. So yeah, I think. We were talking about Avangar here. For them, it's not only about winning. I think it's about winning in a great fashion, in a fashion that gives them the confidence back to have a deep run in this tournament. They need that.
Yes, but looking at Monolith, I really think they have absolutely nothing to lose and no pressure going into this. They don't have any performance to necessarily meet, as they will know that they are a huge underdog in this situation. And if they can get off to a good start on the first map and even take it, then I mean, who knows what it does to the confidence of Avangar, having lost that best of 1. They may get the shakes. So who knows? Perhaps, I mean, there is an outside chance for Monolith, but I think it is predicated upon getting a good start against Avangar here.
James, I appreciate the input. And now let's take a look at the veto. That will be on screen, and we can start debating what potentially might show up. I would be surprised if Monolith let Dust 2 stay in, but who knows? Maybe they feel like yesterday with that whole Nuke fiasco for Prosto that could still be a strong map for them, and it could end up paying off. We can hear some maniac.
Someone is having a good time. Someone's having a good time.
That's not like a cackle.
Yeah, that's a cackle. That's like a Joker laugh.
So, yeah, Monolith have gone for the train ban straight off the bat, and you have to wonder how deep their map pool is, because if, I mean, yes, they got Beasted on Dust 2, but if they train might be even worse for them, or I don't know, maybe they want to veto what they think might be strong for Avangar, but they've gone for Inferno as a first pick.
Okay, so they've picked that maybe based on the fact that Avangar did lose that to Forza, and potentially that it suits their own strengths as a team. It could work in their favour. Avangar will definitely have to have a better performance than they did on it earlier today.
Well, when I
Cash, ooh, okay.
The thing about this Inferno pick is that when you think of Avangar, when they had this Boston Major qualifier kind of stunt when they went down 3-2, they still were pretty impressive, and I think Inferno was one of the good maps for them. That was one of the maps they were actually dominant on, so kind of a risky pick for Monolith.
Yeah,
Boom.
They do have decent results on Inferno, and Cash is potentially one of their strongest maps, so that's not too surprising as a pick, and it will be decided on Dust 2. Okay, guys, if you'd like to start edging towards picking a favourite here, you are more than free to do so.
Well, here's the thing. Sorry, that's a situation where I think the veto, in my opinion, doesn't really matter. I think no matter what maps are going to go through, Avangar needs to take this in a 2-0 way if they want to have deep run. So I'm going to go Avangar. My brain can't let me do anything else.
Will not accept anything else. I think it is Avangar's match to lose. They did lose the best of 1. Losing the best of 3, though, will be considerably harder feat to achieve. So you've got to go with Avangar.
Indeed. Guys, I am in agreement, and our casters are ready too. Harry and Vince, what do you think about what is about to transpire?
Well, I think Monolith might be in a pretty bad spot. They let Dust slip through again. I mean, admittedly, first time the picks come through, I was surprised it wasn't picked up. Cash was the map picked by Avangar. But then Dust gets left to be the third map, the decider. And Monolith got completely bodied earlier on today by Team Spirit. Avangar were the favourites to win this, the entire bracket. And this is, the point of elimination for them. So you imagine they're going to be trying very, very hard to not let this one elude them.
Oh, you definitely think so. Plus, of course, to put something in the other side of the court, though, Avangar got wrecked on Inferno 16-8 earlier, and that's the first map of this best of 3. So James had a really poor performance with the AWP. He was getting destroyed time and time again in every AWP duel. So there are definitely some ways that you could see Monolith pulling this off, but in all honesty, the performance we saw from Monolith earlier was really, really devastatingly bad. I mean, things are going to have to turn around significantly, and even then I don't think it's going to be enough. I think James said it on the desk. At best of 3, it just favors Avangar even more.
Yeah, most definitely. And Monolith, they did not impress me earlier on. What they did impress me in one way, and that's that was the fastest game we've seen so far, and one of the fastest games I've seen in quite some time. But, you know, breaking records for getting wrecked quickly is probably not the place you want to be. Monolith over on the CT side. It's aggression down to Banana, and already Nickelback and Spiker, they've kickstarted this game the same way they did on Dust 2, which is taking the D.
They sure did. I cannot disagree with that. We're not going to see any other dual Berettas in play, though. We did see this on Inferno on the pistol in the very first round. I'm glad that some sanity has fallen back in our shoulders, but Propeller's going to get the first kill on this confrontation. Not a great flashbang. It's not going to deter any of the terrorists, and it's James trying to make amends for that previous poor performance. He will plant the bomb down just next to Coffins. And that's exactly where the CTs more than likely will be laid down in the next few moments. Yakinda had a pretty good performance, even though Monolith got wrecked. And Ubik are the last 2. And Yakinda has came in for 1, so that's going to open up some avenues of aggression. And there are a couple of players that are quite low. Quickert's on 4. James been caught in the backside, looking at the wall. I believe there's a flashbang tossed in, but the timing was just too good for the CTs. Now Ubik's going to be able to pick up that kit and try and get onto the side. They've spun around, they've picked up the kill onto Quicker, but it's going to be on Chris in last. And I was beginning to believe there, Harry, I was beginning to believe that maybe Monolith could pick it up. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, just not quite. But I want to point out D stands for death. And Avangar 1-0 up. They win the pistol. And now the force going to be coming through from Monolith. You know, for those of you who don't know what a monolith is, reasonably confident in my knowledge of this word, it's just a big slab of stone built into like a pillar, right? So an immovable object, if you will, but also something that would struggle to stay afloat. So there's 2 ways that we can take that team name.
I feel like there's a butterfly called the Monolith too. So I wonder if it's the kind of butterfly, or if it's... You're also correct, I'm fairly confident. Maybe
Any butterfly fanatics? What are they called?
Nutters.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. Well, anyway, any butterfly fanatics, you know, get at us, let us know. But here is Avangar. They've got some MAC-10s, some UMPs, the MP7 on Demasic, and an AK for Crizzen. They're stacked up outside of B, and there's 3 players here. Monolith, will they live up to the name and be those immovable slabs of stone? Certainly looks like it. Oh my god, a collateral 1D from Ubik. And suddenly, Demasic 1v5. What in God's name has gone wrong in this round?
Everything. Everything has gone wrong, Harry. Not only did Monolith pick it up, but they pick it up with a clean sweep. Not a single player falling. They can now transition to all the weapons. I think Yakindo was too far away to get his hands on one of them, but he'll just keep going forward with his Desert Eagle. And again, no huge surprises. We can add another one to the tally of 4 spy rounds being successful. And this time it's Monolith that pick it up.
Yeah, but I mean, that was so convincing. That was so much more convincing than it ever should have been. Avangar, let's not forget, coming into this being, you know, for most people, the favorites. I think justifiably so if you look at recent results. Even if you look at the sort of the players that make up this Monolith team, well, there's a lot of experience here, you know, guys coming from Spartak, from EPG, you know, a few other teams thrown in there, like Team Spirit Academy for Nickelback. You know, I mean, there's a lot of experience there, but none of those teams, I don't think, have done as much as Avangar have done as of late. So, Avangar not really living up to the hype early on. A chance here, though, at finding success with a force fight. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen that happen. Crizzen up in the apartments. Not somewhere he seeks to call home, though. Looking to barrel on out into this bomb site. 50 seconds left on the clock. A little bit of utility to work with. With one smoke, does give them a few more options to work with. You could throw that down towards Arch and Library look to duck in towards CT, but instead they peek it dry, and Buster is able to trade with Spiker.
They have been able to effectively quarantine the terrorists into top of mid. They can look to eradicate the virus that was looking to spread in round 3. Exactly what comes into play. So they're going to keep 2 MAC-10s in place so they can deal with the ecoed up terrorists into this round. I think they may have just dropped one of those MAC-10s actually. So they're going to go for a couple of M4s instead. Scout, AK, looking good for the CTs. And this really is the perfect start for Monolith. After a very poor performance, and Avangar already a bit shaky on Inferno, to be putting the pressure on them after losing the pistol. Exactly what the doctor ordered. Avangar, in the meanwhile, aggression up second mid, and it is just Quicker who is down towards the T-steps. This should be a convincing victory, especially considering that already 2 of the CTs have got down Banana. I can't really see any way for Avangar to get much done in this round now.
Yeah, there should be no real way back into this for them. It is just the pistols after all. Buster being tagged down so low as well. And they're going to look to try and take control of top mid once again. Slowly but surely edging their way out. Now running up towards long. Ubika's here, but he's 1 shot away from being dropped. Has to be careful. They've ducked into CT. Sadly for them, they're going to meet their fate. Proplet holds his own. That's the bomb dropped. And now these 2 PT-50s, they'd love to take 1 or 2 of these players down, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen as Monolith hold their ground. Demasic left alive. To give you an idea as well of how recent results paint these 2 teams, Monolith currently ranked 95th in the world. Avangar ranked 27th, so within that top 30. But Monolith off to a great start.
27th. That's actually higher than I was anticipating. I mean, no disrespect to Avangar, but I suppose the previous minor and major where they showed a bit of prowess probably got them up there quite a bit. Sorry, what was a Monolith? Like 90 or
95th.
Rip.
So just barely scraping top 100.
We may even have some UK teams in the top 100, and that's all you need to know.
That's a pretty bold claim to make. I don't know about that one, but we have Smooya, and that's all that matters. You just need 1 or 2. Alex as well. He used to play with Maniac.
Got Def as well.
Def as well, yeah. Out in NA. Surreal. Now we're
struggling.
Stanley. You know, everyone loves Stanley, but everyone loves Quicker even more, as he's found it too. Just had Sliggy said in my ear, you know. I don't know about that one. I mean, technically right, but
we do have Bardolph, who's been at a fair amount of show matches.
Yeah,
I think he's flying that flag pretty high. I mean, literally, he's a tall dude.
He is. Every time I meet him, I feel like he's gotten another inch bigger and another inch taller as well. Some man advantage right now in favour of Avangar. They're all the way up Banana. They're about to go walking the way of Ubik and Propler, who look to try and hold down this B bomb site. Demasic still waiting over in mid. But this push coming on through. Demasic cuts off the rotation. It's just Ubik hiding in Emo. And now he emerges. That's the bomb drop. 25 seconds. Big running that clock down. Wins the fight almost versus Prison. Tags him up. They're letting him have one-on-ones. He's 2 HP, and finally Quicker deals with him. But oh my goodness, that came far closer than it ever should have been allowed to do.
Definitely, and he's took away a fair amount of weapons too. And you can see that Avangar aren't exactly swimming in funds. So they're going to have to replenish the fallen weapons. That's going to put down a few players sub $1,000. In actual fact, everybody apart from Crizin is below 1K, and he's only got 1,100 himself. So with Quicker's dodgy shenanigans, and Monolith able to put some more pain down, this is effectively a 2-for-1, I would say. Both teams are pretty rough around the edges in terms of their finances. Standard stack though, 2 players on Banana, 3 covering A, and second mid are where the terrorists will push. And they're actually going up mid very quickly. This is going to be an aggressive play. They're going to get an equal trade through on the arches. Spike is going to have to try and hold his ground, and he's joined along Yukanda, but he's been flashed. He's going to have to relocate to the side of pit. The terrorists are getting a lot of information.
They most certainly are. And we live in an age of information where it's so powerful. They're all the way around. Wrapping through short, but oh my, that nade, that's a meaty nade. That's so much damage done, and that's going to bring all of these players down into the realm where one headshot with these M4s is enough to drop them. That is a significant advantage now for Monolith. And they haven't even tested the defensive Spiker and Yakanda just yet. Rotation coming in from Nickelback. The flash is there. They spot out Spiker with the AWP. It's Yakanda down inside of the pit, trying to hold them back. He's going to manage his second, and they're not ready for Nickelback. He shuts down one more. Dima sick. 1v2, and it's just not happening as Nickelback puts out hit after hit.
No one's ever ready for Nickelback, man. Always a terrifying sight to behold. And a 2K into the round clutch puts Monolith at 4-2 in the lead. I think many people have anticipated this to be Avangar's declaration, like, okay, poor first map, now we're just going to come in and slaughter. But Monolith, credit to them, they have shown up, they are not going anywhere. They're going to battle until the bitter end. Double up set up in play once again. Nickelback with one, Spiker with the other. Nickelback has a decent spawn to go to B if he so chooses, could even peek down Banana. But considering they're up against pistols, this could be an issue. Although from our perspective, we can see the bulk of the terrorists are actually going second mid, so it doesn't seem like he's going to have too much to worry about.
Yeah, instead it's these guys over on A that look to be tested. Spiker, Ubik, and Yakindar, rather. Krisen. Over here in the apartments, the house, and Yakindar knows better than most that it might be coming home as he lies in wait. Homing down the angle. Actually falls off of it, and that's going to give them a bit of leeway. Re-peeks back through, and that's Krisen to fall. So man advantage gained for Monolith very early on, and that's going to further reduce your confidence in this force buy from Avangar. Partial, rather, but now they look to go running the gauntlet, trying to get past Spiker.
He is able to hold his ground, strangely enough. You expect when you see a bunch of pistols run around the corner, if you miss that AWP shot, you're pretty much done. So just the one casualty, able to pick up the AWP in the hands of Ubik instead. He can drop it again once more. Not too bad. Avangar, though, they're back into a buy. Quicker with a Mach 10. But he shouldn't really be able to fall prey to anybody. Spiker, please. Unless that's a bug, he's got $1,400 and he's not upgraded his head armor. I'm triggered. If this Mach 10 kills him now, I will find Spiker and I will slap him across the chops.
I mean, he's here. And that sounds like some content that everyone would love to see.
Please no, Spiker, please. I can't handle it if he dies now. Oh. He does have $1,400 left, right? That wasn't a bug.
Let's have a little look-see. Yeah, $1,400.
Reasonable.
Well, here's... Oh, probably didn't spot Dima sick. His fingers and his arm, maybe his elbow, were poking past the plywood, but instead Nickelback finds that one, and they're not looking to feed the machine. Actually, in fact, they are. They're going to go running on through. He's in the back of the site, looking like a dark horse at this point in time. Pushing on into him. Nickelback going to fall. Quicker finds him. We'll have to have seen him get a little bit more done. Obviously, the high-flying rockstar for Monolith. Bomb now down. Man advantage up in favor of Avangar, and this should be their round, especially when you look at how far away Yakindar is from this bomb site. He's going to go up Banana regardless, so maybe if they find something, we do see them go for this. And actually, there's the frag from Spiker. Krisen gets caught looking away. And now, very, very quickly, this whole round's been flipped on its head. It all falls on a Jame, who had a very weak performance on Inferno earlier on today, but he's got the man off the bomb. He's going to go back for a second, and he saves the round. He went from being 0 to hero here on Inferno as he locks in a third round for Avangar.
Very well played by Jame, who was the weak link last time they played this. So great to see him in amongst the action, in amongst the frags. And we'll be back into another buy for Monolith. Ironically, of course, because Spiker didn't upgrade his head armor, he can actually afford another AWP. So obviously he's just playing 4D chess and I'm garbage. There you go. Nailed it. I mean, the thing is, against AKs, you're not often needing the head armor anyway, but it's because of Avangar's economy, they're either going to drop to an SMG or some Galils, and that's where you are in the one-tap potential if you don't have head armor, which is why I was triggered. Here comes the peak though, Harry. On to Banana. Oh, Nickelback, please.
That is a big shot to miss. Man advantage gained very early on for Avangar. Team has been tagged down low early on up in the apartments. They sprayed him down through the spam spot. Ubeek dances with the devil down in mid. That's James to hit the deck. 4-on-4, courtesy of Ubeek. He was able to find the equalizer. And now Krizen even going to offer himself up. Couple of sloppy plays coming in early from Krizen. Usually someone who we can rely on to do pretty consistent stuff for Avangar. Now struggling, in my opinion. Hopefully we can see the form pick up. Spiker goes rushing through. He's only good for one. And now it's Propler trying to hold the fort. Buster on the entry. Leaves this in a 2-on-2. Monolith with Yakindar tagged down low, trying to retake this B bomb site.
This time they don't have their hero of James, though. Not able to whip in with a couple of AWP frags. And they're both isolated at the back of the site. Good news for them, however, there's no incendiaries or HEs to flush them out. There's no reason to move. Buster's on for the ace. Ubeek's all that stands between him and reaching that milestone. He's not going to care. He just wants the round. Avangar need a fourth. Ubeek has had a couple of opportunities. Going to smoke and see if that can maybe bait these out into a false sense of security. And it has been successful. He still has a kit. He's going to have to run straight up into the grill of Buster, who picks up the ace. Trades across to the AWP. We said they needed a hero. They found him. Buster, welcome. 4-5 with Avangar forcing Monolith into an eco.
Monolith going to be taking themselves a timeout, something that, as I kind of brought up already, I haven't really seen many of these CIS teams opt to do. I think this is very justifiable. They're taking it pretty early as well, and I'm a big fan of that. You can see them on your screen right now, having a nice discussion. And you know, I mean, I think it's always good to try and catch it early on, right? I mean, we saw the few tactical pauses that have been called in. Really, in my opinion, the team that's been the best with them was Team Spirit so far throughout the entire 2 days that we've seen. It seemed like they had real impact, but also they were keen to take their tactical pauses early. Far too many teams kind of wait, and it's already past the threshold where, you know, a tactical pause won't be that effective. They're taking it in round 10. They still have a lot of time now for this to have a positive impact on their CT side. Most of the discussion is going to fall on how they play the following round. So, just vanilla pistols for them in this one. And already Spiker's going to get pressured over here at B.
There's zero investment too for Monolith, so it is pretty much a gimme bonus round for Avangar. Should be a formality. Any kills would be a nice juicy bonus for Monolith, but it's looking like it will be the slaughter that would be anticipated. Question is, who will get the final frag onto Nickelback? I'm sure there's plenty of people that wouldn't mind having a shot. But his P2000, his trusty sidearm, will not yield any frags. Krizen is going to make it a flawless one for Avangar, who ties back up at 5 apiece.
Yeah, this has been a pretty good recovery thus far from Avangar. I mean, they win the pistol, then they lose their anti-eco. We see Monolith be able to chain together the next few rounds. And initially, it looked like it was going to be a great start from them, but the last 3 have gone the way of Avangar. Now the buy comes in from Monolith, and this is where they have to try and put a stop to this T side from Avangar. The economy very, very fragile on the CT side, right? A loss here means that they're eco into the next, at which point you'd see Avangar starting to run away with this first half. Spiker toppled early, but Propler able to trade. Leaves this in a 4-on-4. By no means ideal for Monolith, but they were able to recover that lost man that fell early on.
Yeah, Buster with a pretty solid entry frag. Going to keep them honest over on B. Can't afford to take a player off that, especially as pressure is being applied in the form of grenades. Quicker gets sprayed though. Nickelback wildly through the smoke. Will best him, but only seeing the 1 kill come up in the feed means they can't rotate too many players over. There's still so much time left too on the clock. That is going to be a friend for Avangar, but will turn into an enemy if they wait too long. They have 2 smokes and 2 Molotovs to play with. That is enough to get a set play in motion on the B site. And it looks like they're pushing the green button right now, Harry.
Indeed it does. The site take well and truly underway, and it's Propler to try and turn the tides. First kill found. Flashes his AWP counterpart over on the side of Avangar off the angle. And for James, got to repeat back into this. That's a quick shot from Propler. Demasik had snuck on by.
Jesus.
Propler's able to readjust, and now Jay, he might have been a hero in a 1v2, but a 1v4. He'd have to double on his previous accomplishments to keep Avangar in this round.
That was quite the flick. Very impressive. Must have been anticipating it, but you typically don't expect a player to peek from that range. You're expecting them at the back of the fountain, which gives you more avenue for error. James, though, is going to be able to hold on to the AWP, which means another buy can be forthcoming. I think we're going to see that shot now for Propler. So there's the first one. This is the nut shot. Jeez, man.
Yeah, because I mean, it's such a jump scare as well, right? It's like
it is.
Just very, very sudden. There's a man in front of you. And, you know, I mean, those sorts of shots aren't tricky to hit. You very easily kind of overcompensate for how much you have to move, especially at that close range. Exactly. So, nicely done by Propler to hold on to that bomb site. Because had Demasic found that frag, it would have been a very, very different round. You lose the one man that was holding down B, the bomb can go down, and then it's a 2 versus 3 in the post plant, and that's not impossible. So, round saved on the back of a 3K from Propler. Interestingly enough, now they've downgraded it onto the MP9.
MP9 is a weapon, of course, at close range, can still shred through heads. Not great against Kevlar. They are using him close on B. Not going to be forced on just yet, as Avangar are feeling their way and probing up mid. But now deciding that B is the better of the options as they pull back. But Spiker has got aggressive and surges for that information, and he's found it. And now I think it stands to good reason it's going to be a B. Now he sees no one at the top of mid. This is why Ubik is making a rotation. All off Spiker's info. And this puts them into good position to fend off this push. That being said, they push straight through, and they have claimed the kill into Ubik. This MP9 is rattling heads, rattling cages, and the terrorists are falling down as a result. James not going to be able to clutch. And Monolith pick up a 7-5 lead. Very well done by Spiker and the rest of the CTs.
I mean, you know, if you're just joining us, if you haven't watched any of the other games that are going on today, Avangar, you know, I'd say they came into this event looking like the favourites in Group B. But based on their performances today, I'm not sure we can say that anymore. We saw them get bodied earlier on by fours. That looked very, very convincing. And then, you know, Team Spirit were the best Monolith, 16-2 on Dust 2 just earlier on. And then, you know, and then best out fours as well. I think right now Team Spirit are hands down looking like the best team in this group.
Agreed.
Avangar still struggling. I mean, I'm not very convinced. Admittedly, this is the same map that they lost to fours on earlier on today. So maybe Inferno just isn't a strong map for them. Because also, when you look back at their history, a lot of events, such as the Star Series, where they did very well. This was, you know, the only map that they took losses on routinely. But, regardless, I mean, after how much Team Spirit just cut Monolith down, I wasn't expecting them to come out swinging here, taking an 8-5 scoreline early on versus Avangar.
I completely agree with you. I thought that this would be Avangar's chance to really come out swinging on Inferno. But if it is a weakness for them, you've got to pose the question, why are they leaving it open for picks? Why isn't this one of their staple bans if they're consistently losing out to teams they should be beating? Because effectively, if they lose this, they're just putting themselves at a 0-1 handicap for no reason at all. And remember, if they lose this best of 3, that's it. They're not going to the major. It's really that simple. It's do or die now.
I mean, this is a team that so many people had high hopes for, right? You know, there was a lot of anticipation about how they would fare in the minor system. I think some people even had them pegged perhaps to best, you know, one of the other favorites, which would be Hellraisers, right, over in Group A. But certainly not the sort of debut on their first day here at the CIS Minor that they'd hoped. Demasic looking to try and find victory from the Ashes as he progresses through short. Minute left on the clock, plenty of time to work with. Spiker and Ubik inside of the bomb site, Yakandar inside of Pit. Ubik spots out the players that are here, maybe bites off a little bit more than he can chew, and on the back of that they found themselves a man advantage.
Looking better. Flashbang perfectly placed. Yakinda did spot Jane peeking up through arch side. Flashbang kept him alive. And Spiker with a 2-on-1 is going to drill both of them with a single shot. And a second. But the strength in numbers, the unity that Avangar show on their approach, even though it was very nearly derailed, is going to yield a bomb plant and a 1v2. Propler going to be making a move through from library side, but there's Krizen up on the box. That was looking so very shaky, but Avangar get the job done.
Yeah, 6-8, and a chance to split this first half right down the middle here for Avangar and recover pretty nicely, all things considered. One thing to take into account, I guess, is that Monolith were able to win their force buy in the second round, and then they get the full advantage, essentially, of those 2 anti-ecos that really Avangar should have had. So 5 of the rounds that Avangar have do come on the back of rifle rounds. They're setting up for this B side, take Nickel back and Propler to try their hand at some aggression, and this hasn't really been working out for Monolith, but this round it certainly does, as they find themselves the early man advantage down here on Banana. Thanks to the Molotov that was down quicker, not able to get in position to trade that.
So the CTs do have the advantage. Make that a 2-man advantage, and Ubik's not been tried. They're going to allow him to get that 1 frag and waste as much time as possible. Of course, hopping up and down does screw with the headshot angle of those players who didn't want to push in too hard anyway. So I have no idea how Ubik survived that, but he will move away with 21 health. Avangar have missed an opportunity. Will it be their last of the round? It's looking likely. Demasik gets smashed by Spiker's AWP. Very much isolated the remaining 2 terrorists as well. Quickhurt's up on B by himself. His teammates still slap bang in the middle of the map with the bomb just behind him. Has got a pick. Quickhurt's made a lot of noise though. His position definitely not going to bother the CTs. And now James is deciding to go the same way over the bunch of corpses of his brothers. And he will fall prey to the exact same outcome. 9-6 lead at half-time for Monolith. Very surprising, especially considering they lost the pistol.
Yeah, I mean, to walk away, you know, losing the pistol with a 9-6 half, that's fantastic. You're going to be very happy with that. And now heading into the second half, pistol round here is very important. I mean, they always are, but this one, essentially, you know, it's all the difference if you convert the two force by anti-ecos rather on the back, which teams have not been able to do reliably here. But if you do, for Monolith, you know, potentially then it moves you up to a 12-6 scoreline. For Avangar, if they find it, this is their way of getting back into this game and equalizing things out 9-9. Regardless, fast round here for Monolith as they go charging up through mid. It's going to be Demasik first to fall, and now Jame in the depths of CT realizes he's got so many players barreling his way. Quickhurt's coming to help out between them. They're dispatching of the players left and right, and there is still Buster here. Tucked away. I don't think they're going to expect a 3rd man inside of B.
I think that could definitely be the determining factor, because Buster should be able to get this kill and the bomb out in the open. Not really an issue after all, because Krizen went on to Spiker. So Avangar, they do hold the line. It was looking very ominous for them when the fast push came through mid and some heads were taken off shoulders. So fair play to Avangar. And now with the second pistol, can they do what they were unable to do in the first half? Can they hold on? If they do, it's looking likely that we'll be tied up at 9 apiece. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, much like, I don't know, Rose and Jack in the Titanic. It's tricky to hold on sometimes. That's a really tenuous meme, but...
there was enough space anyway on that door, or whatever it was. Come on, Rose.
That certainly was. They
Scumbag.
actually tested it, right? You could play a game of not poker, but just cards, you know, on that bit of ship. Was it a bit of ship? I know it was a door, right? Yeah.
It was
so
something from the ship, yeah. It's been a
regardless.
while since I've seen that movie, to be honest.
I mean, let's see. We have James Cameron with the FAMAS over on the side of Avangar, over here towards the A-bomb site. 4 players stacked up there. All the pressure getting left on it to Buster to hold back Monolith as they look to try and break the mold and push in towards this B-bomb site.
Buster, perfect crosshair placement. Didn't have to move an inch on that peak. Doing so much damage by himself. And he is going to have some... I was going to say some cavalry, but that cavalry has been spiked by Ubik. bomb plant to follow. I am so amazed that we're even in a position where Monolith could win this round, and it's just gone from a possibility to maybe a reality. Propler's got 3 already. Demasic's going to be low, trying to come around the corner, and Propler knows it, but Demasic with his MP7 is able to just about hold on. But that is a terrible round, whichever way you spin it from Avangar. Yes, they've got the win, but they've lost 4 players and conceded a bomb plant.
Yeah, that's pretty devastating. You know, I mean, it's Avangar side, not the same one that was impressing me when I cast them a lot back at Star Series just about a month ago now, I think. 8-9 is the scoreline. But the buy coming in from Monolith, and on the back of that bomb plant, they have been able to don it early, which is interesting. That was as a result of not too much being invested in that previous round. I like this from Monolith over on the T side, rushing up Banana. Spiker to find the first. Quicker does trade. Things heating up over here towards B, but that Molotov delays the refrag in from the rest of the Monolith boys. Ooh, over at Banana.
Vanguard are pulling players back from B, assuming this is going to be an all-out A hit. They've took everyone off B. What are they basing this off? The bomb's not down. They have just gambled. They have gone all in. They've rolled the dice that A is the site of choice. And it could pay off for them in a wild way. They could get away with this. Crizzen comes in with 2. There is no way they anticipate more players on A at this stage, and certainly not both of them. And now they're going to find out and be scratching their heads like, you what, mate? What was that? Why is there 4 players on A? It worked out for them.
It certainly did. And, you know, I mean, it was a bit of a gamble, but the decision, as long as it works, finds you around. 9-9, Avangar all tied up. And on the back of that win, they've reset Monolith heading into this next round. So it's going to be a couple of pistols sprinkled lightly here and there. That's all they can bear. James and Demasic with the MP9s. James and Crizzen throwing nades down through mid early on. Spreads a little bit of damage across Monolith, but it's Buster to burn out the first. Quick cut there with the AK on the next, and that will just be 2 Deags and a PT-50 left for this T site. So not anticipating much from them in this round.
The problem for Vanguard, though, is that consistently in positions like this, they've left themselves open for a few frags to come in from Monolith. Monolith, in terms of winning the round, it's very, very unlikely, but if they can get a couple 1-digs here from Ubik, that could really help them further down the line. It's about the bigger picture now, and fair play, Vanguard not going to let that happen. They're going to make sure that this round goes through without any casualties, allowing them to buffer up their economy, but Monolith will be straight back in with another buy. They're going to call a tactical timeout first, though.
Yeah, another tactical pause here from a team that during their 16-2 spanking from Team Spirit didn't call in any of them. So, interesting change. But what's the decision going to be? You still have an attempt at a bonus round here from Avangar as they keep the MP9 heading forward. James, the only man to upgrade onto anything, has gone ahead and picked up the AWP in this round. AWP out for Spiker as well. Maybe we see Demasic try something a bit more aggressive with the MP9. He said he's going to play passive. It's James to go aggressive with the AWP down through mid. Not spotted by Spiker, but it doesn't lead to anything just yet.
Slow and steady. Team sending out Ubik up second mid. See if he can find himself any stragglers. But Avangar haven't really played anyone in apps as of yet. This is maybe an ace up their sleeves that they'll bring out later on the half. But time and time again, they have given up apps control and mid control by and large. So 4-player stack, a lot of confidence shown in Buster, rolling with the AK-47 by himself on coffins. Bomb still dropped way towards the T-spawn. Declaration that we're not going to see any quick shenanigans anytime soon, but I think Propler is going back to pick it up. No, he's not actually. They are going to take their sweet time in this round, Harry.
Time is fleeting, as the old saying goes. Jane might just find the timing here onto Yakindar, and indeed he does. Attempt to refrag from Propler. Quicker going to go moving through that smoke. It's slow and steady to win the race. Spiker, though, able to get the trade. Deema on the MP9, good for one more. Nickelback and Ubeak, 20 seconds time working against them here. They're going to try and wrap to B. You have to find this frag on a Buster. If Nickelback goes down now, this round's over, and that's the bomb dropped. Ubeak has no way of getting back into this. And he's left fighting for his life. Krisen dispatches of him. Avangar going to move on to an 11th round as they start to pull ahead now in the latter stages of this game.
Yeah, that's 5 on the bounce now for Avangar. So they are flawless, unbeaten on their CT side. I say flawless. There have been some issues that they faced off against, but they've got the job done, forcing Monolith to have full round loss bonus now going on their way into CZs and a Deagle with Kevlar behind it. Double nading down mid, no one's home for the T's. They're playing the majority of their members on Banana. This grenade, though, could do some serious damage by Quickert. Oh, it chunks down Ubeak. I thought it may do more. It looked like it was going to land right in the middle of 3 or 4 players. But CS nades, quite confusing at times.
Yeah, they most certainly are. It feels like they just hate me whenever I play matchmaking. Every nade that goes within 10 meters of me does 80 damage. But that one there, they get off quite lightly. Push about to come through towards this B bomb site. Buster and Quicker to hold the fort. These pistols have got dangerously close. As they move in, they're going to be more and more effective. And Yakindar and Propler, they've opened up this B bomb site. The plant will come through. And now Monolith are in with a fighting chance in this round. It's a 3v3 retake, and Ubeak looks to take the fight here on Banana.
It's one of the worst buys that we've seen from the terrorists, yielding one of their best opportunity. Demastic, though, Ubeak will be on the receiving end of a battering partially through the wall. Proper aggression with the CZ, love that. They felt like they were backed into a corner, so they came out swinging, and they've connected all the shots they needed. Demastic, though, is still in this, but not for much longer. Propler's aggression will pay out in spades, and Monolith end the unbeaten curse that Avangar was showing them on the CT side. They do have plenty of funds, but they're going to deplete most of them. This is really Monolith's chance now.
Avangar going to be sticking all the money they've got into this round. If they lose this, they will be reset. They've put all they have into it. Spiker holding mid. James gone aggressive, picks up that first frag on to Yakindar. And this is a big round. If you take a look at it, of course, that was Monolith's first victory, so the reset equally so looming over their heads in spite of that only being a force buy round from them. This effectively becomes a 2-for-1, which at this 11-10 scoreline between these two teams, in what has been a close game, is going to be monumental in deciding the outcome of this first map. Buster will be tested, and he hasn't done his homework, so he's going to fail that. Spiker finds the first kill. Over here towards B, leaving us in the 4-on-4 as the equalizer comes in.
Vanguard looking now if they can propel this round in their favor. A boost. We haven't seen many of them so far up on the flower bed. The idea that it mitigates the smoke that comes in. You can see now from Demasic's perspective, he can see over the smoke, but there was a flashbang in, not required. Quickert's done so much by himself. And now Demasic, who just backs away, makes sure they can't spot him on the approach, has done his job. Ubeak last in with the bomb plant. But in a 3-on-1, you are anticipating this will go the way of the CTs. They don't have a kit, and there is no Kevlar on Jame. So there is a possibility that Monolith could sneak away with this, but it's going to have to come off the back of a massive play by Ubeak, and there's Krisen. It won't be happening. The win streak has came to a screeching halt after just the one round for Monolith.
Yeah, I mean, likewise to Avangar, Monolith put all their money into that one round, and they barely got a nickel back. So Spiker forced to upgrade onto the AWP. They're going to go for the force bite. I'm in two minds about this. I mean, I kind of like it, in all honesty. You can see the justification for doing it as well. They know that the money of Avangar is going to be down low. So if they find success with this force bite, that's then propelled back to what, you know, should be a 12-10 scoreline, because Avangar will have to eco in the next round. So it's high risk, but very high reward. On the flip side, a loss here for Monolith is devastating. At 13-10, they would be forced onto an eco.
Heavy nade damage has been inflicted to Avangar, though, early on. And it's both of their B defenders that took the brunt. Buster with 40, Quicker with 60. Those nades paying for themselves at this stage. It's all well and good getting the damage, though. You've got to go ahead and do something with it. You've got to convert the opportunities that were paid for with blood. And now Monolith look to aggress up mid. Bomb is dropped in Banana, however. So it could be a case of feeling out, seeing what they can get done on A. If they get a kill, Nickelback can pick up the bomb and scurry to the rest of his team. If not, they can relocate on Banana and try and push through there. But Quicker's going to go aggressive. Molotov behind it. Was that a mid-air Mach 10 frag? Get out of here, Propler. That's filth. The Vanguard do keep the player advantage, though.
The mid-air Mac Daddy himself, Buster. Now going to fall as well. Kinder up. Surely can't manage both these kills. If he finds both the rotations, I was going to say that would be the round over and done with it. In fact, it looks like it might be Crizin. 1v2 decides that saving is the wiser choice. And you can see why the money for Avangar has ran dry. If he holds on to this, they could maybe go for a force, but I think you're better off to go for the eco and just let the 1AK do its thing. You might maybe see the players with a little bit more money partial buy into this following round.
Yeah, I would say that's the fair play, especially as I'll still have a one-round buffer, and I'm praying Monolith, please drop one of these AWPs.
Yeah, that's what I was
Get an AK.
say.
There we go, thank you. Because 2 AWPs on T side is just straight garbage. If it's Dust 2, sure, no problems with that. Cash, you can get away with it too. Inferno, hell no. Like, I'm so happy that they've dropped one of those AWPs. That would have really, it would have hurt me straight to the feels.
Straight to the feels, the old feelers. And now the decision for Avangar becomes, do you go for the force? I don't think they will. They've been pretty hesitant to really do it, especially in a situation like this. So, yeah, partial buy down on Quicker. He had a bit more money than everyone else, and you're going to try and use him and Crizin to create some space. But there's a Monolith looming over them. It's hot on their heels. Getting closer by the day. A slow round this time from the T side, not wanting to fall prey to any sort of stack, as they have done in the past. Much more methodical in their approach, taking control over here towards the top of Banana, leaving Yakindar and Ubik at the apartments to make sure no one from Avangar gets any information or goes aggressive. This is a much better looking default, at least from the Monolith side, to deal with this sort of buy.
Yeah, pretty much vacating any apps presence or mid presence and deciding to just back away, knowing it's going to be a pretty low buy. And effectively allowing the CTs to hang themselves, to walk into the trap themselves. But so far, Avangar, they're not giving anything away for free. Oh, not again. Avangar have made the ballsy call. It's going to be an A. It makes more sense this time around because they have pistols. But it looks like Quickert's had cold feet. He's back off to B, just to be sure. This will put a 4-player stack with Monolith looking to aggress. Jame and his P250 will be called upon alongside this USP in pit. There's so many flashes landing, but it's just USP, so it's not really going to catch them too far out. Demon 6 shouldn't get tested just yet, and is able to land the first and the second frag, now putting it into a 2-on-1. He played patiently, he played it well, but ultimately it was just a bridge too far, and Monolith are all even at 12 apiece now.
Yeah, all tied up. Let's not forget Monolith, the team that got 16-2'd by Team Spirit just a few hours ago. Now 12-12 versus Avangar, one of the heavyweights present in Group B. 3 players over here towards A for Avangar this time, but they're not going to get tested at all. Monolith, all 5 guys up through Banana. Charging into this B bomb site. Buster has to try and hold the fort. He's not ready. It falls to Quicker, and somehow he's been able to double down in that scenario. Even did more damage onto Yakindar in the process. So he alone might have just saved them this round at the very least.
But you see the nightmare of the CTs on Inferno, even though Quickert's got 2, they're still in such a shoddy position to try and retake with. There's angles that they can't possibly check with just 3 players, and you've seen Demasic was positioned in one of them. Without a kit and with a hefty amount of equipment value that they need to hold on to, Avangar will be saving. So Monolith, after they started to fall behind with 5 consecutive rounds at the start, from 9-6 into a lead for Avangar, now they're finding their form, now they're finding their rhythm, and they're turning the pressure up. Avangar can't handle it just yet. 13-12 lead. It should be able to drop. We may be getting another buy into fruition, but if Avangar lose this buy, Harry, that could be it for Inferno.
It certainly could, and yeah, that's a pretty scary place to be in if you are them. I mean, you're coming into this being a team with everything to lose, essentially. Monolith don't have that pressure. You're already down in the lower bracket. The loser of this, their journey, their potential road to the FACEIT London Major 2018, it comes to a close. And the winner, well, they're going to get to play versus fours after this to try and join the likes of Team Spirit, Hellraisers, and Prosto. But it is certainly not where many people imagined Avangar being. Tagged up, damage done on a Ubik early on.
I mean, Ubik perfectly actually faked that out. He shot the wall as if he was up in this position, or if he was trying to spray down in towards the whole side of Apps or through onto the balcony, and then he switched weapon for some reason as the player peeked him. He got what he wanted to, he got the bait, and he screwed himself. Like, he nearly died there off his own play. I don't really understand that weapon switch. It was completely unnecessary. Maybe some nerves coming in, just twitching a little bit. But now, Quickert and Buster are going to have to deal with 5 meddlesome terrorists, and deal with him he shall. Nearly in for a third, which would have been astounding play. But unfortunately, Buster only has a USP, so he's going to try and use this smoke. He's trying to tap through the smoke now. Ubik's been tagged down to 4. I believe some of that was team wounding. So incredibly awkward round, but Monolith have got the bomb planted.
Still, it's going to be a 2-on-4. James chiming in with that frag on a spiker. Most of this pressure going to now fall onto Yakinda, who pushes on forward. 2-on-3, but now he loses Ubik, and while he's good for one, Crisant immediately there to trade. Defuse will come through, and you're exactly right, Vince. As, I can't remember who it was playing around the side of the smoke, it was Buster. As he was trying to deal with the bomb planter, it was actually Spiker, the teammate of the man planting, who shot through the smoke to try and deal with that pesky Avangar player. It actually ended up tagging his teammate down to 4 HP. But this from Quicker, once again, what a round from him. He's had a couple of rounds like that where he's just anchored down that B bomb site. You know, Crisant, I believe it. Oh no, sorry, it's Buster who's been playing with him. Proved to be not the most reliable man to have inside of the site with you. It has been Quicker showing up time and time again, holding the fort at that B bomb site. Now 13-13, all tied up once again. That seems to be the reoccurring story of this game. Wouldn't surprise me, maybe we even see an overtime here in map number 1. But this round is a big one. Money has ran low here for Monolith. CT's in a position where they could force buy in the next round, but it wouldn't be great, so neither team looking too good.
I think it's definitely a fair statement. Quicker trying to be the aggressor down mid. Look where his corpse is. Miles away from Buster, who couldn't come with him. Typically, you want to have 2 players pushing together, having that 2-man tag team death squad to try and deal with the terrorists. Going down on your own, you're just going to get killed. Even if you get a 1-for-1 trade, it means B's open and they're going to aggress on B. So Quicker, there was no reason for that whatsoever. You could have just played at the bottom of a banana, gave the call across. At the end of the day, there's more than 50 seconds. When he died, there was over a minute left. Any information that he gets, it's going to be old news in 15, 20 seconds after that point. Whichever way you look at that, it just doesn't make sense, and it could cost his team. It looks like they're going to be able to hold for now, though.
Yeah, all this pressure now falls onto the men inside of this A-bomb site. James comes rotating around, but they have to buy time, and Demasic falls at the first hurdle. Crisant not good for anything down in the pit. Instead, it's James desperate to claw back into this round and almost through the smoke. But as he gets brought down to 7 HP, double AWP in the retake. Him and Buster just have to head on out of this round. Monolith going to move on to a 14th. Instantly steal one back. Luckily enough for Avangar, if they keep both of these AWPs alive, a buy is possible in the next round. Monolith not really in a position where they can afford to go hunting. You imagine they get away with saving these. It'll be 14-14, and Avangar will have one final buy to fall back on.
Yeah, in terms of the last 5 players, it will end a stalemate, but of course Monolith will get the round victory and take the 14-13 lead. As you correctly pointed out, though, with 2 saved AWPs. Jame can drop, so can Buster. There's going to be about 3k on Chrisen, so he can maybe go in for like a UMP or a FAMAS, something along those lines. We'll see what they come out with. So M4's being dropped. There's double AWPs. That's pretty ballsy, actually. It's going to put them at a lack of utility and also Chrisen down to UMP, but it is a decent buy overall. So Vanguard, double AWP setup, 2 kits. Healthier than I expected, to be honest, Harry. I thought they'd have a worse buy than this. They made it work somehow.
Well, Buster, with one of those AWPs that was carried forward, gets tested, and Yakindar, the man on the entry. 2 quick kills and already for Avangar. It looks like the save calls come in. Chrisen not moving from where he is over in apartments, and Jame pushed up into CT. Really doesn't need to be this far forward. Kind of hung around, maybe seeing if someone tried rushing into the CT area of the map just because of how quickly those frags came in. But doesn't want to risk overstaying his welcome, because if he goes down and loses the AWP, then Avangar's chance of coming back in this game goes out the window. Once again, in a situation where if they stay alive here, they can patch together a pretty poor buy, all things considered. You're going to have, you know, the M4, the AWP carried forward, Chrisen with a UMP, and then Jame can look to drop over. I think he's actually got just enough to grab maybe an M4. But I'll have to do maths on the spot. Yeah, he does. So, quick maths for you. They're going to have 2 rifles here if they decide to go for that.
Which they should, because Jame has full nades and a kit. So he could use all of that surplus $3,100 for an M4. So you were on the money with that one, Harry. And a UMP for Buster. Demasic with an M4. It's going to be another half decent purchase. Well, actually more than half decent. It's more than enough to fend off the push. The problem is that Avangar have just looked so rocky over these last 6 or 7 rounds on their CT side. Aggression through mid. That's such a risky play by Jame. If someone peeks up mid stairs, he's dead. But he's going to get away with the risk.
I mean, they needed someone to step up. They needed some sort of miracle to keep them in this, and that might be the play that's done it. They've grabbed an early man advantage, and now Jame, very dynamic in this approach. They just spotted him out over towards mid. Now he's inside of B with the AWP. Homing down this angle. This is all going to come down to timing as the peak comes through. Spiker bests him. How's he managed that? Quicker flashes through CT, but he's only good for 1. And now Buster fending for himself. The E key betrays him, so he can't quite pick up the AWP. And Nickel backs him with the trade. It's a 2 versus 2 to decide if Avangar stay afloat or if Monolith close out map number 1.
And with this current situation, you'd have to favor the terrorists. There's going to be 2 players peeking into ruins. They may think that one from the CTs went towards Banana. That's not going to be the case. Chrisen's able to get 1, loses a bunch of health in the process, but is able to get an AK-47. If he wants to push, it's going to be through Molotov, and he knows he can't afford that. So this buys up Nickelback the chance to scamper around through the Ruins side. The bomb's planted for Ruins too. Chrisen's got the right idea. Going to be spraying down and may just about have enough time. With about 2 seconds left, he's going to get the defuse. Oh my goodness, Avangar live to fight another day. Monolith somehow lose that.
That is unbelievable. I'm going to be honest, I didn't think that he had that whatsoever. What a round. And Avangar managed to hold on. Live to fight another day. The buy, once again, patched together as best they can. 3 rifles, one of those being a FAMAS. The AWP up on Jame and Chrisen. Relegated down to that UMP. Jame going to try his hand. Aggression down through Banana. Now, they netted the frag early on in the last round as a result of his aggression. This time, he's not able to find anything, but that's better than losing a man at the very least. You can already see, once again, he's planning to keep things dynamic, switching out position with Quicker as he heads back towards the A-bomb site. Keeping Monolith guessing as to where this one solitary AWP for Avangar resides.
And Jame is keeping them guessing, though, alongside the rotation, because originally he fired off in Banana, now he's moved into Arches, watching down mid. Avangar feel like B is their weakest site, and to be fair, I would say that has been the trend so far on this map. So putting 3 players over on here. Demasic, Quicker, and Buster. starting to lack a bit of utility. Just the one smoke, and that's just been used. Going to be fending off the play. Small gap in the smoke. Quicker's going to use this, catches Nickelback with a nade out. And with the kill, will that give them the confidence to push in? They still have Spiker at the top of mid, and he's getting inroads towards A. He's called that to the rest of their team, but now that they've committed to A, they're not going to have enough time to go back to B. This has got to work out for them, or we're heading to overtime.
Yeah, they lose Yakindar. Spiker keeping an eye on Library, but James is posted up to watch short, misses that shot, and now it's Crizzen once again has to be the hero, and combining with James, it all falls on a Spiker. 10 seconds left, and Dima finds him. We're heading through to overtime in map number 1 of this elimination best of 3. Avangar managed to haul their way back into things, despite Monolith being at match point for 2 rounds there towards the very end. It's not over just yet. 10k MR3, that's the rules of play. And for Avangar, we've seen them like to sport this double AWP setup a few rounds. They're going to go for it, and that's pretty ballsy in MR3 10k. A loss now means that, you know, you can get one more buy. If you lose the second, you're pretty much, you know, bang on to lose the third as well, because your money will run so low as a result of moving into such a costly setup as the double AWPs.
I've got to say, Harry, and I'd be curious on your thoughts on this too, I just don't feel like the double AWPs have been what's yielding Avangar their rounds. I actually prefer them with 1 AWP and 4 assault rifles. I think it gives them more flexibility, it gives them more dexterity, and when they're pushing, when they're playing passively. I think with the double AWPs, they run into these gauntlets too many times of Monolith playing aggressive and just basically getting set played out of the round. So I really don't like this. And of course, MR10 with 10k means you get smashed even harder if this first round doesn't work out for you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to pose a lot of questions, potentially cause a lot of problems. I'm going to tend to agree with you there. I haven't been too convinced, especially not with Buster on the secondary AWP. Plus, you kind of lose that mobility from Jabe. They don't want to be, you know, rotating these AWPs around between the bomb sites. And, you know, it's very easy to nullify Buster in this Coffin's position over on B as he attempts to anchor it down. I mean, one smoke falls through and suddenly Monolith now have control of this B bomb site. Would very much like to see him maybe switch up into... You know, I mean, Coffins is almost like suggesting you want to play a more proactive position, one where you can spot the enemy out. But at this point, you're already back in the bomb, so I'd be playing Emo, somewhere that's kind of harder to deal with. But Buster's going to keep holding here. 3 players on Banana, 2 out over towards the top of mid. James spots the arm of Yakindar, now falls away. He's managed to 4v4, equalize things out. That's Buster up on the Coffin, smoked off. That's the one problem with this position. That's forced to rotate around from James, but the bomb currently resides over here in the top of mid.
So this rotation from James is the correct play. And he's going to be joining Demasik, who is just outside of Arch. And there we go, James has been given his reward. Aggressive peek into rotation, yielding so much for his team. He's picked up both of the frags that they've got. Minus 20 seconds remaining on the timer. We're getting closer and closer to an Avangar first round win in overtime. Propler's doing what he can to bring this back into the realms of possibility. Would have heard that shot rain past his ears from short. Now James going to push him with his pistol and will not be able to stop the bomb, but does get the round going for Avangar. They're going to save both AWPs too. That's good news in terms of their financial investment. And Monolith will trail for the first time in quite some time actually on this map.
Yeah, losing that first round. They go for the buy here. AWP going to be brought up and thrown across. In a situation though, they only have a buy on 3 of these players in the next round if Monolith lose this. So that kind of monetary situation we were speaking about previously now flipped on its head. It's Monolith who are going to face the issues if they lose this round. That's one of the reasons why I prefer 10k MR3. Is you do have to keep an eye on that money. Just a tad. Buster opens up with the frag on a spiker to kickstart this round for Avangar. And this is the Avangar we needed to see earlier on. The AWP already removed from the side of Monolith, and Spike has been so good, if you think about it, at besting the AWP inside of B. Now Propler's going to come in with the equalizer on a Demasik at Arch side. And this is going to open up a vulnerability now. You can see the effect this has had. Quicker's had to fall back in a CT to keep an eye on the potential wrap round. And this is spreading Avangar's CT side defense very, very thin.
Good news for Avangar, though, with both Yikinda and Propler low, is although it's a 4v4, all it takes is one of the CTs to establish some spray in the right area, and things could quickly get out of control for Monolith. They're going to send Quickert over to B. This is allowing Yikinda, with his 6 health, to push around the back of the CTs. They don't know it. They're about to get pincered. Yikinda still trying to make sure he doesn't get flanked himself. Quickert's going to go aggressive through the Molotov. Incredibly aggressive, but he is going to get put down after 1 kill. This does make the flank from Yikinda not quite as potent as before, because a player has now been drawn out in the form of Christian, who is going to get sideswiped from Yikinda. Going to smoke himself into another few seconds of life for Buster, but that's all it's going to be. And with 7 seconds left, the plant is on. James not quick enough. And Monolith have done it. Somehow, some way, they grind out the round. You can see now the impact those 2 AWPs are having. Quickert's low, Christen's low, Dimasic's low. They're not going to have too much utility. Well, they are if they're going to substitute the M4s for a CZ and a UMP. So that's going to hurt their firepower instead.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of praising Quickert early on, but in the last few rounds, he's made a couple of odd choices. The constant aggression through Banana, you know, when the clocks tick down so low, if he played passive there, you know, you would have had a 3-on-3. It ended up with Buster having to try and buy all the time. This time they're rushing up through Banana. Quicker, gonna burn down too. Why not? You know, a good old-fashioned double Molotov kill at the top of Banana. Things really are heating up in this first half of overtime. Propler and Yikinda know that better than most. Nickelback and Ubeak were both brought down low in amongst the fire and flames. And now it's back to the drawing board, and it's going to be made that much worse as Buster extends the man advantage for Avangar that much more.
Just over a minute to play with. Monolith to try and wrap their head around how to carve a masterpiece of a clutch. 3-player stack on B. They do have 2 Molotovs and smokes between them, one of which is going to go towards Shadow, but Buster has already cancelled Ubeak's life, and Spike is going to be in hot pursuit. Avangar do take the round lead going through into the second half of overtime. And Quickert, 31 frags and 10 assists. That's a pretty immense amount of impact that he's had on this match.
Well, Avangar, it's been a rocky road for them, but they've finally been able to finish a half looking pretty decent. 17-16. The magic number, of course, that we are looking for is 19 rounds, and that's a fantastic start from Avangar's AWP. James opening up this round in a very big way. The AWP can get thrown across on a Ubeak, not usually the AWP, but he's donning it over here towards the long angle.
Yeah, typically their secondary AWP has been Nickelback, but of course he's on the other side of the map, just behind Sandbags, joined by Propler, who has gone in and drilled into the forehead of Quickert. His killing spree will come to an end. Dimasic just perched inside Boiler, seeing if he can get some angle into quad, but no one's home for the CTs. They're playing a more passive, deep angle of defense, with Ubeak using the fallen AWP from Spiker and peering across to quad, which is where they are about to push in. Flashbang's going to take away some of his vision, but he did fire too soon, which allowed him to get the frag onto Buster. But the trades are back and forth, and Avangar will be able to get this plant down, albeit in James in a 1-on-2 scenario for himself.
James struggled on this map earlier on, but right now he's been golden. Peaks on round. Propler's able to trade, and that will be Monolith locking in their 17th round. A hat-trick for Propler. As I say, 19 is what we're looking for. Both these teams now requiring both of these next 2 rounds if they want to close this out. Pause cooled on in. That's a tactical one for Avangar. Nice highlight reel there from Propler to keep his team in this match. And I mean, you know, it's been a while, but if you think back to the Monolith CT side, it was very, very strong. I mean, they're able to win 9 rounds there on their CT side. I mean, and off the top of my head, one of the things you'd have to commend them for is their ability to lock down this B bomb site. Propler was having a fantastic game in his CT half. Kind of went a little bit more quiet on their T side, and then that was when we saw Yakindar come into his own. But now with both of these guys starting to rack up a nice body count up there at the top of the board, I think this is going to cause some real problems for Avangar, who didn't have that, a very strong T side if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, both teams had their shaky moments. I'd say that Monolith's A side was the issue, and then it's very much reversed for Avangar's CT side. It was B that was their main problem, with Buster and Quickert getting found quite a few times. Even though Quickert is top fragging for Avangar, there were some questionable decisions with aggression, and if we do go into a second overtime, which is looking quite likely at this point, it's definitely something to watch out for. But Monolith are trying to bridge the gap. Quickert's going to be forced to use his smoke just to extinguish the Molotov, make sure it didn't spread any further, and end his life. Down to 13 he will fall. Yakindar's going to be pushed and finished by Demasic, who is going to find himself on the receiving end of a battering, but Avangar, their tactical timeout seems to have yielded a potential round, because they've got 2 players to find, one of which is in library, and he's going to be knocked down a peg or 2 by James Orp. Now Propler, with the weight of this round and potentially map on his shoulders, and he's going to back the hell out of that. He's not interested. Wants to save. This will afford them a chance to drop that M4 to somebody else. There's a few players that could do with it. Ubik's down to 2,200, Yakindar 2,700, Nickelback 2,800. So saving this M4 does give them some options. In fact, he could even buy an AWP and drop it, but Spiker could be able to afford that himself, to be fair.
Oh, this has been very back and forth, and this is the sort of heart-pumping game that you want to be seeing, although maybe not from the team of Avangar. Had high hopes and high expectations coming here to the CIS minor. Right now, overtime versus Monolith, a team, as we say, got 16-2 earlier on today by Team Spirit. Definitely not where I think you'd imagine them being. 18-17, now Avangar need one more round to close this map out. Next up, going to be Cash, obviously. But this one is still anyone's game. Jame back on the AWP. They're going to try and do damage with that. Spike is donning the AWP once again for Monolith. They were able to get that out. You notice they are pretty handicapped in terms of the utility.
It's always something that triggers me a little bit, Harry, and I know this is really nitpicky, but, I'm a grumpy old man, so these things happen.
I know what you were going to say.
Spiker has a USP, Propler and Nickelback have CZs. Why don't you have your AWPer with a secondary, a sidearm weapon being more powerful than USP? It
not
seems
only that,
odd.
Propler has enough money to buy a 4th piece of utility, and he didn't do it.
Yep.
So that's triggered me even more, because utility is king on a map like Inferno. This is map point for Avangar, Monolith. You need to have these buys down pat. But, slight errors perhaps in communication. Starting to slowly rear their head within this team. It starts, though, with some buying inequality, and then very quickly it can progress to something much more. It's the equivalent of a gateway in that sense. But aggression round through long, and it looks like they might try splitting through CT. This has been left open by Monolith. We haven't seen Avangar with this sort of position just yet. Spotted out down here in mid. That was Jame. Yakindar saw it. They're going to try wrapping round, though, and Yakindar first to fall. Spiker now has to turn his attention towards the long position, trying to make a stand. He's going to find a burst, and Spiker has to emerge victorious here. He's going to fall despite his best efforts, manages 2 kills. Propler and Nickelback left to retake. The 2 B-site players, 2v3 to keep Monolith in this and force a double overtime.
You've got to give props to Spiker for holding on for that long, but now it's going to be down to Propler and Nickelback in a 2-on-3 retake. They've got a kit, but only 1 flash. Both healthy, going to play aggressive, and Propler and Nickelback die within a millisecond of each other. Avangar are going to do it, but that was far from comfortable.
Yeah, it certainly didn't feel too comfortable, did it? Got a bit claustrophobic at times for Avangar, but they emerged victorious here. Monolith, they were at map point 15-13, if you recall. It was their game to win. They give it all away. Avangar, not the sort of team that let mistakes slide, and they certainly did not there in map number 1. Cash going to be the map coming up next. Avangar 1-0 after the series. I believe Cash is their map pick as well. So that's going to be exciting as we look to head through onto that. But Vince, a couple of closing thoughts on what we just saw.
James had a much better performance from the first time we saw him, to be fair. But Avangar, there were a lot of issues, especially on that CT side, that I would go back and look at. Ultimately, I think they were slightly the better team, but I also feel like on another day that would have easily been them losing the first map. So I don't know how much you can realistically take away from that. It was a bit of a mind screw for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, it was high octane, it was back and forth. It's the sort of game that kind of wears you down, right? You kind of saw the strategies start to break down a little bit there in overtime. That's always the case. It's always going to be you in your head, and you kind of become your own biggest enemy. But for Monolith, you know, very stressful for these guys, kind of being a newer team that's just been assembled versus Avangar, a team that's been together a while and has been producing some good results. We're going to go ahead and give the players some time now to take a break, reset, and then we'll be back with Cash in a couple of minutes.